Hello, my name is Jack Dempsey, and I'm Director of Research at Cascade Reading. And today I'm going to be talking about how the Cascade algorithm works, what the Cascade format looks like, and how it can help all readers, in particular English language learners as they are reading. So when we think about syntax in reading or grammar when reading, we're actually doing a lot of it all the time. For example, a sentence like below, syntactic knowledge allows readers to understand how different parts of the sentence relate to one another. This sentence can be easily understood by most of us. However, a lot of us don't quite appreciate how much work is being done in our minds as we understand the sentence. And this graph, for example, can show the complexity that's at work as we're trying to read sentences in even our native language. And our ability to recognize and understand all this grammatical information as we're reading or as we're listening is referred to as syntactic knowledge, right? And this is particularly helpful for ESL reading comprehension. Many ESL students and English language learners, as they are reading, aren't quite as able to automatically gain access to syntactic knowledge as they're reading, and it makes it a little more difficult. And so, in other words, ESL reading comprehension is not automatic. We can fill in some blanks from our first language, but not everything maps between languages smoothly, so it takes extra work. So at Cascade Reading, we have developed a Cascade format. And what this format does is it is an automated patented process, and it identifies syntactic phrases via natural language processing outputs. And then it chunks those phrases and uses indentations to show the relationship between them. And such a format has been shown to lead to improved comprehension, and we theorize that this happens due to a scaffold of syntactic knowledge as the reader is going through a text. This also helps cue syntax and prosody, or the interaction between intonation and grammar as you're reading. And it also helps clear up some ambiguity that's rampant in a lot of language. And so I'm going to quickly go through some of these principles before showing you recent research that shows how the Cascade format helps ESL readers. So the first principle in the Cascade format is that subjects and verbs are aligned. So if we take a sentence like, after the party, the maid cleaned the chairs and the tables, notice that the maid and cleaned are the subject and the verb, and those are aligned at the same indent level. The second principle says that dependents are indented underneath their head. So for example, if we see the chairs and the tables as an entire direct object, we can notice that this is indented one level past cleaned. Principle 3 is similar to Principle 2, saying that introductory information is also indented. So after the party describes when the cleaning happened, therefore it's indented one level past cleaning, even though it appears before the subject and verb. And lastly, elements of a conjunction are aligned and preceded by the conjoining term. So for example, our direct object here is the chairs and the tables, because that is what is being cleaned. And so we take the conjoining term, or the word and we indent the elements that are being conjoined by the word and by one more level. And that's how we get the sentence before us. And so when we apply this to a lot of sentences throughout a text, we also use paragraph shading to denote where paragraphs begin and end. And it can look something like this on the right. And so previous research in elementary schools and with English as a first language readers in adult settings have shown that the Cascade format improves comprehension, but we were specifically interested in seeing how it improves comprehension for adult English language learners as they're reading English as a second language. And so we recruited three language groups, one whose first language was English, one whose first language was Korean and learned English as a second language later in life, and another whose first language was Mandarin but learned English as a second language later in life. And we recruited 90 students, 30 per language group, from the University of Illinois community. Half of them were reading passages in Cascade, half of them were reading passages in a regular text. And that gave us our A-B setup. And so we had them come in for a first session where we wanted to understand their baseline ability in reading for English reading comprehension, the ability to recognize English words, their language history, and their oral reading fluency. And then in sessions 2 and 3, they came in and read three different passages at a 12th grade reading level. And each of these passages had about 14 thematic sentence level comprehension questions, probing who did what to whom or basic events that occurred during the passages. And what we found was very promising. So in these graphs on the right, each panel is a different language group. The blue lines represent the Cascade readers, and the black lines represent the block or traditional text readers. And there are 2 reading sessions, so session 1 and session 2 on the left and right, respectively, in each panel. The y-axis here denotes the percentage of questions that they answered correctly. So this can be seen as their comprehension. And we can notice that the blue lines tend to be higher than the black lines. And the improvement from day 1 to day 2 seems to be even more pronounced for Korean and Mandarin readers. And so, in summary, it seems that the Cascade format did improve comprehension by cueing syntactic structure during reading. And this was particularly helpful for advanced English language learners who were the population in our study. And so what Cascade Reading is doing is it's providing syntactic knowledge in real time. It's access to the syntactic structures during reading, which might not be such an automatic process for second language English readers. And it may also improve syntactic knowledge over time, but more research is needed to determine that. And subjective feedback is largely positive. One of our participants from our study, for example, wrote that reading in Cascade was an emotional moment today, as I felt like someone finally understands non-native speakers like me. And the research continues. Recent eye tracking evidence has suggested that Cascade reading improves comprehension and efficiency in reading. And if you're unfamiliar with eye tracking, essentially it's a technology that measures your eye movements in real time. And for example, you would be in a head mount right there to make sure that your head's not moving too much so that the eye movements are accurately measured. And then we can see in real time where you're looking on the screen. And that helps us understand the reading process, right? In addition to that, we've run a second year-long elementary school study reconfirming that Cascade reading does improve reading comprehension for 4th and 5th graders. And we're talking with several other school districts and open to collaborations. We could help your students, so please reach out if you're interested in working with us. Now, before I go, I do want to just highlight some of the ways in which Cascade reading can be implemented into your classroom. For example, our Cascade Explorer view allows for a lot of personalization features and copying and print options to share Cascades with students. It also provides a sandbox tool for you to showcase some grammatical structures to your students during your class. For example, there are clause colorization options forthcoming, part of speech tagging where you can underline nouns or verbs, syntactic group identification like prepositional phrases or direct objects. There's also free highlighting that lets you highlight whatever you'd like to help with whatever topic you happen to be teaching that day. And we also have the ability to collapse and expand or simplify sentences that are long, and that's a forthcoming feature as well. Now, in addition to English as a second language, the Cascade format can also help people who are learning any language. And to that end, as we continue to work on improving the Cascade reading tools in English, we're also starting to make Cascade available in Español, auf Deutsch, et en français, et in Italiano anche. So stay posted, and hopefully we'll be able to have the Cascade format working in a language that you can use with your students if you're a second language teacher. We also have the Chrome browser view, and this is particularly important because a lot of times teachers use websites for readings. They send links to their students to read. And the Cascade Chrome browser view allows people to automatically cascade the text in any website, like this CALICO conference website from last year, for example. There's also a passage library that's available that includes 195 unique passage sets, grade levels 2 through 8. And this follows the CKLA 4th and 5th grade curriculum topics. They're 195 unique passages, and so that's enough for a student to read a passage in every single school day for an entire year, and they're all in the Cascade format. And lastly, I just want to make a quick note about our API. Our API is very flexible and it is designed for ease of integration into whatever sort of service that you provide to teachers and educators. Um, and so if you have an idea of how Cascade Reading might be helpful, please feel free to reach out to us and ask questions. And we offer cascaded text in a range of different formats as well. And so this is a very flexible tool. All right, and thank you very much. If you're interested in more information, please visit cascadereading.com or feel free to email me at research@cascadereading.com. And happy reading.